What's up, you guys? I'm actually streaming on the go, so if you guys can't see me and things are working, that's good. If you guys can't see me or hear me, or something doesn't sound or look right, let me know. So things have been kind of tough because I just moved from Austin to Connecticut, and I am now in Boston hanging out with my fiance. She's finally here. It's so awesome to have her be here with me. We've been kind of on and off seeing each other due to COVID. It's been kind of rough, but now everything is good. So if you are joining us live today for this amazing live stream, hopefully, and let me know how the audio is, and great to have you guys here. Also, we are going to talk about burnout. Obviously, burnout is real. That's what people say when you're working, but I also want to talk about, is there a coding burnout when you're learning to code, and kind of like, is it like a real thing? What can you do to prevent it, or how can you stay motivated if it does happen? How to get out of a rut if that's the case. And another reason why is if you do get burned out, and eventually it can lead to feeling depressed, and depression is also a real thing. And so a lot of times people don't talk about stuff, and I think it's important to have a community where we could honestly talk about our struggles, to be there for each other in case someone's feeling overwhelmed, and they just kind of, number one, need to know that it happens to the best of us, and number two is that we should feel free to reach out for people in our community to help. So I kind of want to talk about some of these topics today. But on a fun note, if you guys are just jumping in, if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I don't know if you should, like Twitter, I don't know if Twitter is good, but I am on Twitter now, so you could find me at Coding30. And so one post on Twitter, if you guys follow Coding Addict, John Smilga, maybe you've been wondering why his face looked familiar. So I think I solved that mystery. And I actually have a cold, so I'll be coughing on and off, so sorry about that, but we're not gonna let our cold stop us from moving forward. So here's the interesting, I like how my stream is kind of separated in the way that I don't want it, or my screen sharing. So let me kind of move this screen over here for now, just so it doesn't break my flow of things. And you could see that there's all three of you. No, I'm sure there's more watching. It's just a little laggy behind, but I don't even care how many people watch. The most important part is that I think if you were wondering why John Smilga looked familiar, or why he was hiding his face for an eternity and not doing any live streaming, is because he's clearly Johnny Cage. You could see the resemblance here with the eyeglasses. Of course, the Johnny Cage smile here, he's got, obviously this picture is showing all his teeth. Here he's just showing the front teeth. But I just wanted to be, if you know who Coding Addict is, if you don't, or John Smilga is, he makes amazing Udemy instructionals, as well as a lot of great content on his channel, so go check it out. But I just wanted to kind of start this on a light note and say, bam, mystery solved. We know who John Smilga is, obviously Johnny Cage. But with that being said, let's say hello in the chat. We got Jason here saying, what's up, Paul? Hey, what's up, Jason? We got Jose saying, what's up? Hey, Jose, what's going on? Steve, hey, how you doing? No Twitter, it's cancer. 100% that is. The issue that I have with that is that there's certain people that I follow, they're not so much on Twitter doing the Twitter thing, or twatter as I call it, but they're literally so busy that the only DMs they check is their Twitter. So there's certain people that I literally have Twitter just for them, but I 100% agree with you, Steve. Northern Chim, hello, what's up? Hi everyone from Logic Indies. Hope you get well soon, Paul. Yeah, thanks. Me too. I've been getting better. It's just kind of lingering on the cough and stuff like that. I know I don't have the vids, which is nice, but at the same time, Boston is cold right now, and so it is what it is. You kind of hang out outside for a little bit, you get a little sick. Got my tea going on though, and Yep. So today I wanted to talk about burnout, kind of difficulties learning to code, and maybe even talk to you guys. Some of you and your experience has been. I know a lot of people talk about burnout while working, which makes sense to me. It's possible. You know, there's different reasons why people get burnt out, and a lot of people wonder, is it like a real thing? Is it, you know, made up thing? You know, yeah, burnout is real, and burnout could, in some way, also be tied to depression. And it doesn't mean maybe you're depressed because of your burnout. Maybe you were depressed and hence feeling burnout. And I do want to talk about those things, because I'd be lying to you if I said to you that my journey has been, you know, all butterflies and niceness and, you know, whatever you want to call it. But the truth is, everybody struggles. And I definitely, you know, even a couple of weeks back, I was trying to figure out, like, everything is good, everything's going great. Like, why am I, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, why am I, you know, keep gaining weight? Why am I, like, still not feeling happy? Maybe I'm depressed. Maybe I am. And so, like, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? You know, possibilities are there. And so I was like, why not? If I'm feeling it, maybe there's a lot of you guys or gals out there who feel similar things. So I was like, you know what? Let's have a discussion on a live stream and talk about it. So in the comments, let me know if you guys have experienced burnout or felt like, you know, giving up, or, you know, felt like, you know, things are just getting tough. And the reason why I want to say this is because I know a lot of us try to learn to code, or we do learn to code, and we get into this thing, and maybe some of us, you know, think that coding, you know, because we hear so many people, it's like, oh, you could do it in 3 months, you could do it, you know, make $100,000 easy. And we think about it and we feel like that's something that we have to do, something that we should be able to do. And then after 3 months, we can't even make a simple website. All of a sudden, we're starting to wonder, is this us? You know, maybe we're not smart enough. And then we try to push our learning, and all of a sudden we start to feel burnout because we study, and don't feel like we're making progress. And maybe it's our expectations that are not set right. Maybe we thought, you know, from everything that we see online, how easy coding could be. Maybe the truth is, it is really hard, and it is very difficult, and maybe it is very frustrating at times. And so what I'm trying to say to you guys is that, you know, I want to talk about the reality when learning to code is that it's hard. It's not as easy people make it out to be. And that's why I kind of wanted to say in the thumbnail, like, hey, you know, should you quit to code? Or, you know, like, what's up? What's going on? And is burnout real? And of course it is. And there's many reasons to it. And I see a lot of great comments already coming up, which is awesome. And then Northern Chimp says he had some issues. What's up? My browser suddenly lost access to localhost. I'm in fix. Okay, makes, you know, gotta fix whatever issue you're having. Steve says coding is not like a normal job. You have to be dedicated, or you'll just on a seat. Treat it like a hobby, and it's much easier to handle. Yeah, I mean, that's actually interesting. I know, Steve, you have a lot of experience, so definitely love to hear some input. And I know, like, I want to connect with you. I'm not sure if you sent me an email yet, but yeah, definitely would love to connect with you. I don't know if you're on LinkedIn. I could find you on LinkedIn too. But coding, it is a very challenging career endeavor, and it's not like any other job. One of the things that, at least for me, is different is that you cannot be good at coding with the mindset, if it's, you know, learn it once, forget it, and then just do the same thing over and over again. That's not true. It's something like, if you think like that, you're going to become very irrelevant very quickly. And that in itself could be very depressing, because there's never a situation where you could say, like, oh, I'm here. You know, there's always learning involved. And for some people, that's something that's very difficult to kind of handle, where you'll never be able to continue to make progress, and you'll never be able to get to a point where you continue to stay relevant. Like, if I were to say what it's like learning to code, it's like riding an escalator that's going backwards. For instance, the escalator is moving down, and if you just stand still, you'll move down with the escalator. And if that's the case, like, if you're not constantly just doing something to stay relevant, you know, you'll never get to where you need to go. And I feel like that's a great example to allow people to wrap their head around what it is to be a programmer is literally like walking up an escalator that's moving backwards. If you do everything average or a minimum, you'll just stay in one place. So in order to get ahead, you do have to kind of push yourself, learn new technologies, move forward, especially stuff that's relevant. And Steve, I see your, I did, and you didn't reply. So I did look for your email and I couldn't find it. And I'm not sure if maybe I misspelled my email last stream, which would not be beyond me, because it's, but it's literally codingafter30@gmail.com. But I'm gonna search your email in Gmail to double check. If not, let's see here. Yeah, because I know you said you sent an email, and surprisingly, I don't know, Steve, or inbox emails. Yeah, and Steve, if you want to send me another email, or is there like an email I can send you? It's codingafter30@gmail.com. I'm gonna spell it out like this. Just maybe when I shared it earlier, maybe YouTube did something weird, but send me another email if you can, because I definitely want to connect with you. Like, I definitely don't know what happened. Engine Boy says, 2017, I started with C++ and quit within a week, then started PHP and quit within 1 month, then nothing for 2 years, and then started 2020 with Python, and from then still going. And that's, thank you for sharing that, because that is very common for that process, especially when you're starting out, when you're being self-taught, trying to make sense of everything, and you'll start on one path, realize it's not for you, then start learning something new, and then you're like, wait, maybe there's another thing I have to learn, then another thing, and then a lot of times people do quit, because kind of like you did, quit for 2 years. I had the same situation. I quit for like 4 or 5 years. It was like ridiculous, and I don't know how I was able to eventually get back into the race, but it is so easy to quit. And I don't know if it's because there's so much overwhelming information online, especially if you're on YouTube or Twitter, where people either making it sound like it's too easy to get hired, or it's too difficult to get hired, or you see all these people flaunting how much money they're making, how much this they're doing, and the truth is, you get so excited, you get pumped up, and you're like, man, let me break into this field, let me do all the things I need to do. And you put in your 3 months, nothing happened. You still don't have a job. You put in your 6 months, nothing happened. You put in a year and you're like, what the hell? I still couldn't get a job. And it does get depressing. And when you feel like you're trying your best and all of a sudden you're not making progress, it's like, what is going on here? And I would say that that's when, people quit. That's when people start to feel, hopeless. That's when people start to feel burnt out. And I think it's because part of the answer, I think, is not having the right expectation of what you need to do in order to get started. And I can't have the answer for everybody. I could just share my story of what helped me and the mistakes that I made, and I'll definitely want to talk about it. But yeah, it's insane, guys. It's insane. And Brian's saying hello. Hello, Brian. And that's 100% Steve. You make a great point. It's not a 9-to-5 job. Coding is as much of an art form as it is engineering discipline. You cannot switch it on and off like you can with other jobs. Yeah, that's a very interesting point you brought up. And I'm very thankful of my current position where I work remote, where I don't have like exact, I don't have to have a set schedule. So a lot of times I will be in the mood where I'm able to code, and let's say I'll code for 3 hours, let's say, as an example. Then I'll get stuck. And I know that when I get stuck, like, I need to take a break. I need to walk away from the computer keyboard. And I can't imagine, like, if I was forced to sit at the desk trying to work it out and work it through. Like, a lot of times by going on a walk, sometimes I'll jump into the shower and a thing comes up to me. I'll give you an example. Like last week, I did a bunch of code refactoring. I added some new features, and something else kind of stopped functioning like it's intended to. And I sat with it and in code, I tried to, put my breakpoints, try to figure out, like, trace the code for like 3 hours and not knowing what the hell's going on. And then literally yesterday, I was walking around, visiting Boston right now, downtown Boston, and literally popped into my head, hey, you didn't check this thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, let me check that. And sure enough, that was the solution that came to me in the middle of a walk, not even at work. And I think having this like understanding that coding is hard, you can't force it sometimes, and sometimes having scheduled breaks or taking a break is very important. And it's something that I want to talk about, as well as maybe take a look at some articles about burnout, just to kind of talk about the concept, and then maybe talk about some tips that I have or I'm thinking about, because the truth is there have been times where I got like really depressed. But one thing I didn't stop coding. It's just because I knew I had to, but I don't think that was healthy either. So I do want to have a conversation with you guys, talk about, like what are good strategies, what is better. And of course, people are different. So I can't say that one answer would fit everything. And, so let's see, Jason here says 3 months videos, then got burnt out and quit because I thought it was for me. After 6 months, I was still overwhelmed. Yeah, 100%. And Jason, you bring up a very good point, because that's kind of very common. What I hear is a lot of people, they're like, I just tried to code. I did this project and then that project, and then I tried to, do this, and then like they have these expectations that just because they coded for 3 months, there'll be opportunities for jobs. That's just not true. That's not like a fair assumption. Like, you do need to be able to know what you're doing, and you need to make projects that when a potential employer looks at it, they see that the skill that you have in your project is in some way mimics what they're going to be doing at work. So it has to look familiar and good enough, if that makes sense. Because a lot of my portfolio projects that I had in the past, they weren't good enough. Even though I had projects, I had portfolios, and being self-taught without a college degree, I think it would be really, really, really hard for me to convince anybody with those type of projects to even give me a chance, an opportunity, even if they were looking for someone that could learn and they just want to, help them grow. I felt like based on my immature projects that I had, they would still not take a chance on me. But that's just how I felt. And that's true, Steve. Some people are not suited for coding. It's a big area, and there are many career paths outside actual coding. This is another great point. One of the things that somebody told me, which I was really surprised, because I never thought about it as being like something that you should be comfortable with and be able to do, because for me, being an introvert, believe it or not, I'm an introvert. Some people argue with me. They'll say, you're an extrovert. No, I'm extroverted in my speech because I used to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I had a lot of training over many, many years to act extroverted when I would teach classes. But I'm a big introvert, and one superpower I would say I have is ability to sit in front of my computer for like 8, 10, even 12 hours if I had to. And somebody said that that's actually one of the things or skills you should have, is this ability to be able to sit in front of the computer. And I thought that's just so lame. Like, of course anybody could sit in front of the computer and just try to code, even though they're probably hitting a brick wall. But I didn't think of it as being like a skill that someone should have. And I know it sounds so silly and stupid, but if you think about it, you should be comfortable sitting in front of the computer for a long period of time. And to me, I took it for granted. So really, really interesting how little things that some people don't take for granted become like make it or break it points. Hey, Walter, when is a cool time to start searching for a job? I would say once you definitely need to have a LinkedIn, you should have a GitHub, you should have a basic portfolio website, and you should have at least one project completed, and then you should start searching for jobs. Not because, and who knows, maybe you'll be able to get a job, but not even from the standpoint of, you'll be ready for a job. You might be, you might not be, but from the standpoint of practicing and going through the practice of searching for jobs, reiterating through interview through your resume, make sure it becomes to a point where it looks good enough for people to actually return your phone call, and going through that, feedback cycle and getting practice interviews, going through those. And so the thing is, like, let's say you have a portfolio, you have LinkedIn, you have GitHub, you have one project, you're not getting any jobs, and you could be like, okay, no one's returning my calls. Then you start with your resume. Is your resume written in a way which kind of entices people to call you back? If not, that's the first thing you fixed. And I know that was an issue for me, where I had a poorly written resume, still same information, when all I did is reformat it, rewrite it to be exactly what hiring managers are used to looking. I started getting at least interviews and callbacks. Yeah, that's a very good, I learned this like way too late. Go away, think about it a bit, and come back later. That's a very important programming tip, guys and girls. So thank you, Steve. And that's something that took me a long time to learn, and it literally made my life easily. Yeah, Steve, and it's interesting because everybody I talk to, they either feel exactly like you feel, or they feel like, they're just paying the price to make that money. And I'd rather be at the camp where people enjoy coding enough and love it enough, where they don't think of it as work. Yeah, it might be boring at times, but you're still excited about this idea of like, okay, I'm gonna find that bug fix, or I'm gonna solve this problem we're having. Or if none of those things, like, you could figure out, yeah, you're like, okay, at least I'm gonna read a bunch of stuff and learn enough to start to understand the problem that I'm having, so I could begin to solve it. And to your point right after that is bug fixing can be frustrating, but fixing it is exhilarating. 100%. You will have this is crazy, but like when you have a bug, like I literally was like, I'm gonna fucking solve it. I'm gonna get it. I don't care what it takes, how much I have to read, how much I have to do. And once you solve it, I don't think there's a better feeling than that. I will argue with you, there's no other feeling of knowing that the bug that's been so like nasty to you and nagging at you, you finally fixed and figured out. 100%, you feel like $1 billion. At least that's how I do. Hey, I want to show you my portfolio. Do you do reviews? Yes, and so we could do that. You could show off your portfolio. You could email me at codingafter30@gmail.com. And again, I'm gonna kind of write out my email, just because I think if I do like a regular link, YouTube doesn't like that. But yeah, send it to me. If you have time during this live stream, I'll take a look at it. Let's see, I love that you guys have so many comments. That I was gonna show some articles about burnout that we'll get to, but I more just love talking with you guys, that I want to get through the comments because it's awesome. It's awesome when you guys chat with me. I'm not trying to say that I have no friends, and it's great when you guys talk to me, but it's really awesome. I love actually having a discussion. And then Jose says, so the thing to do is to develop a mindset so when you quit or want to quit, you stop yourself, do a 180-degree turn, and continue coding. Yeah, similar to that, what I would say, what the first thing you got to think about is, number one is to understand, and I do like, somebody said, oh, your analogy of learning to code is like a backwards going escalator. If you do nothing and stand still, you eventually like end up on the bottom. Just kind of understand that's basically how coding and learning to code is, and just take it as like the truths of life, where it's not a surprise when something doesn't go your way, because you have to understand, hey, in order for me to get ahead, not only do I have to do the bare minimum amount of work just to stay where I am, but I actually have to put in more work to be able to get ahead. And that will always in your brain be like, hey, this is not an easy field. And the reason why I say this is because it's not an easy field. I'm not saying that hard work, doing hard work is frustrating, and it is like, or it's not frustrating and it's not difficult. It is, but once you understand, hey, that's exactly what's expected from you, at least your expectation is like, look, I'm going to do the work that will get me hired is do the hard work, if that makes sense. And so if you always kind of understand that, you'll never feel like, oh, this is not for me because this is hard. No, you know this is hard. And you'll never feel like oh, why am I not getting it? Because I'm stupid? No, you're not getting it because it's hard and you have to learn more and you constantly pursue that. And then the second part of your doing 180 is like, yeah, if you get stuck or as you start feeling yourself getting stuck, feeling frustrated, walk away from the keyboard, go do something completely out, take a little break, take a breather, and when you come back, start with like reviewing something that you learned before, something that you understand already to kind of get that motivation back. And then if you're still having difficulty in the thing that you were doing, read up on it more, read some more documentation, or do another, like watch a YouTube video or something for a few minutes to kind of get yourself back on track and then get back to coding. At least those are some of the tips that help me sometimes. And what's up? How you doing? Great to have you here. Yeah, and 100%. If you have an interest, definitely do that. Vinyl guys here. Hello, everyone. Hello. Olivia here. What's up? How you doing? Yeah, I love this. Hang on, Paul. When I learned to code, we had no internet, no college, no books, no excuses for yourself. No, 100%. And look, one of the reasons like a lot of people, like don't make it is because I don't want people to get mad at me because this is like some people will be like, oh no, you don't understand my life. You don't know what I've been through. Like, you don't understand my life. You don't know what I've been through. Like, and it's kind of like this idea of no excuses or don't justify why you can't accomplish something. Like, for instance, I can't do this because I started late. I can't do this because I'm not smart enough. I can't do this because, Joe Schmo, whatever, said this to me. Or I can't do this because my, dog ate my homework, whatever. Like, stop making excuses and understand that instead of wasting time making excuses, take the time to spend the time to learn the thing that you need to do. And so when I talk to my boss, he's like, this is what you got to do. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. So what am I going to do? First of all, I spent the weekend reading up to figure out what I need to do and what I need to learn to understand the problem that I'm trying to solve. And ask more follow-up questions of my boss so I know, like, do I have the complete information that I need to even figure out the solution to this problem? And that's something you have to do yourself. So stop making excuses no matter where you are. I know people younger than me that succeeded. I'm in a period of my life where I probably could have succeeded earlier if I was smarter and didn't do stupid things, but eventually I got hired at 39 years of age, and some people think, wow, that's so old, like how, like I didn't even think you were going to do that. Yeah, and then I know a lot of people that are older than I am and still continue to learn, continue to push forward because they're like, I'm not going to take a no for an answer. And with that being said, like I feel, everybody has different level tolerance for risk that they're willing to take. And sometimes if you have other responsibilities, you have a family and you are older and you have a job that's at least paying your bills and allowing you to take care of your family, I could see how at that point you'd be like, man, I really gave the 2 years of trying to learn to code. It didn't work out for me. I have all these responsibilities with my family. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe I need to keep doing what I'm doing. And still, I would say, yeah, you can keep doing what you're doing, but you could also continue to learn to code. Maybe not full-time, but anyway, I know like there's going to be a bunch of people who be like, man, you just don't understand. And Brian says, definitely have moments where I think if I can't figure out this simple JS stuff, how am I going to be an actual developer? Just have to take breaks and keep working on it. Yeah, 100%, and you got to do that. And to this day, I still feel like I don't know anything. And to this day, like every day, there's something new that I'm learning. Like I'll give you an example. A lot of people don't teach unit testing, or they don't teach any testing or end-to-end testing. And a lot of times, like as a junior developer, it's like, hey, it's not that important. You know what I mean? That's fine. And then at my current job where I'm working, I start an application that I'm developing myself. Mostly like 90% of the application is done by me. And I'm getting to a point where it's getting big enough that doing manual testing, not only is it becoming more difficult, but it also takes a lot of time. And so I'm literally at a point where, learning about writing tests and actually writing tests, not only going to obviously raise my value as a developer to the company, but it's going to make better use of my time, where doing tests that I would normally do manually, doing them automatically is, especially when the application increases, and especially when you need to, like, you know, you change something, you'll know right away if something's broken or not after running tests. So like, I'm at a point in my career where testing is starting to be something important that I should be learning. Yeah, talk about his other interests. No. Yep, true, yep. And here's another thing I would say: if you don't screw up, you'll never learn. One thing, like, this is one of the reasons why I do my Tuesday night live coding stream. I know people will make fun of me. I know some people will be like, you don't know what you're doing, you suck. I know people will say like, whatever. But the reason why I do it is because I understand that part of learning and the process is through making mistakes. It's through that trial and error, and it has been helping me learn at a much faster rate. So don't be afraid of screwing up. Don't be afraid of failure, because it's a normal part of learning. Yeah, like, that's an interesting statement there. Some people will tell you if you're right brain, then the program will tell you be more difficult because you need to think logically. I mean, like, I looked at a lot of that stuff, and I stopped reading all that stuff, because to me, it would make me start thinking, am I not built for programming? And I get it, some people are not, and maybe it's good to know what to figure out, but don't read too much into it, because you actually really do need to have a good combination of thinking about things logically, but also having this creative mindset. Yeah, and then Steve here says, that's BS, there are no left or right brain people. So there's a study for everything, I would say. You know, it depends. Like, you'll find, I'm sure, like, you'll find a study that says that there are, and all this other great stuff. And this is something that keeps me going. If you want money, don't code. That's true. And if you get to be a good programmer or developer coder, you will get money. This is exactly why I still haven't quit. And by the way, talking about burnout, this is something that helps me to kind of stay and keep myself in check, because I'm a big believer, like, money is important, don't get me wrong. But look, if I wanted to make money, I would do OnlyFans. Like, you know what I mean? Not saying it's easy work, but I'm saying there's other jobs you could do. But the statement, if you want money, don't code, meaning that if a lot of people getting into code with the wrong motivation, they want to make a lot of money as quickly as possible. And that's not how it works. So if you're always thinking about money, guess what you're not thinking about? You're not thinking about learning. You're not thinking about doing the steps that require to become a better developer. Instead, you just think about money, and you're trying to rush through shortcuts, like, what can I do right now? What's the easiest thing to learn to code that will make me money? And that's totally wrong attitude. And 100%, if you become a good coder, and my goal for the reason for this, having this YouTube channel, is to become the best developer that I can be. And that's the main goal. I don't care about this YouTube channel. I wish I could make money doing this YouTube channel, but the main reason for this YouTube channel is for me to talk about coding, talk about my journey, and that's the reason why I do the live stream, is to practice coding, have feedback from you guys to help me iterate through my coding journey faster so I could become a better programmer. And that's 100% how the money will come. Don't you guys forget it. So vinyl guy, this is a really good point you brought up. It's very debilitating to read all those posts on LinkedIn about people who spent 47 years trying to find their first junior role. Here's my answer to that. So I definitely spent 4 years where I accomplished nothing. And I don't want to blame anybody. I don't even want to blame myself. But when you do something for that long, that means you're missing a feedback cycle that allowing you to course correct. That means you've been doing something for 4 years, but you never had a feedback that's telling you, hey, that's not right what you're doing. At least the way you're going after it is not going to get you hired. Like you haven't had some sort of feedback mechanism. So what I would say to you, and I don't know the secret to this, but you need to set up your learning in a way where your feedback mechanism between like knowing what works and what doesn't take a year, but takes a month, maybe, you know, or it takes 2 months, whatever. You want to shorten that down as much as you can, because here's the thing, like John Smilga, he became a top Udemy instructor within a period of 4 years. He went from 0 to being the top Udemy instructor in 4 years. And to me, like if you think about universities, what like are 4 years long, you know, 4 years is a long time. Like if you're doing like a martial art or learning a musical instrument, 4 years is a really long time, and you should be able to get to a point where you're either playing an instrument well, you're able to program well, and if you don't get or hit the marks that you need to, it's because you didn't have the right goals to aim towards on your journey. For instance, you should have expectations for yourself. Like in 3 months, I should at least be able to make a basic website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if in 3 months you can't do it, you have to ask yourself, why? What happened? Where did I fail where I'm not able to at least take a basic mockup and translate it to HTML, CSS, JavaScript website? Like what is going on? You need that feedback and that honest opinion to self-correct. And I think those people, I mean, I'm so like, feel bad for them. It took them 4 to 7 years. It took me a very long time, but it's because of my inability to achieve or set realistic goals for myself and expectations, and have a feedback cycle that helped me to understand, am I moving on the right track or not? So that's kind of like what I would say, like on that point. By the way, guys, if you haven't smashed the like button, because it does help the algorithm only if you like what I talk about on the stream. Otherwise, don't smash the like button. I know they took away the like, dislike button, whatever. You could smash that one too, I don't care. But if you do find value, smash the like button. And I just want to say I appreciate all of you guys on the stream, because I just want to talk to like-minded individuals who have the same goals. I don't want to waste anybody's time with talking about stuff that's irrelevant. And here's another good question. I still wonder if I should get a CS degree at this age. Engine Boy, like I keep forgetting how old you are. You don't have to share it in the thing here. Like what I would say is that if I was not 41 years old right now, I would probably go and get a CS degree. Now, like, don't get me wrong, like I believe that if you get computer science degree, you will still be like a step above someone who doesn't have one. I'm not saying that you're like there aren't people who don't have degrees that are better. I'm just saying from the standpoint of all around education, you get to explore certain things that you normally wouldn't have if you were doing it on your own. And also college experience is a great experience, you know, the social interactions you make. You'll probably be like the best like part of getting your CS degree. You're going to make enough connections that once you graduate, you might not even get a job because of the degree you got, but because of the few people you connected with who ended up getting jobs, and they could refer you to somebody to help you get hired. So that's my point. Like if you're able to get a degree in CS, like definitely do it. If not, you don't need it. You know what I mean? I don't have a degree. I was able to get hired, but don't let me fool you guys. And people could say whatever they want. Me personally, if I was young enough and I could afford it, I would have went and got the CS degree. And with that being said, before people hate and down, like, and smash this video, do you need a college degree? And certain jobs you don't, and then there's some jobs where it's a hard no. And I had both those cases where I applied and they're like, look, you don't have a college degree, we won't hire you. And even in that case, I would say the only reason why they didn't hire me is because I wasn't super exceptional at one ability that they needed. I'm sure if I was like super really good at something that their company needed and I was able to do the work, they would probably overlook the fact that I don't have a degree. So, you know, that's my case there. So I recently heard that companies don't want, a lot of good questions. I was going to talk about burnout, and I know Tech Rally somewhere said something, and I'll get to him in a second. I know he wanted to. Of course, every time I make a topic, he wants to make a topic. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm starting like weird, you know, rumors. Every time I make a topic first, Tech Rally comes around, and then he's like, I should make a topic on that. That's a rumor, not true. But I love, like, if you start a rumor, even if it's a lie, people will believe the rumor as fact. If I said that on Twitter, oh my God, it would be like, set in stone. Tech Rally follows Coding After the 30 channel. The fact that I'm even joking about it is gonna be like, oh man, this is terrible. Vinyl Guy says, I recently heard that companies don't want juniors because they take time and money to train. Then they take off for a higher paying job shortly after they have been onboarded. I'm not sure if I heard the same thing. I feel like, there's pros and cons for both. First of all, if you're already really talented, and you're already working at a company, if you're so good, they'll probably give you more money instead of having you leave. And if you're leave and find a better company, that's fine too. But anyway, that's a bad example. Here's the example that I'm going to tell you why that's not true. The reason why that's not true is that mid-level developers, they make way more money than a junior developer is, comparatively speaking. So the point here is that there are plenty of job tasks that makes no sense for a mid-level developer to do who's making $100,000 a year, let's say, because that means the company's paying him more money for a task that they shouldn't even do in the first place. Like, for instance, the job that I work at, where I started as a junior, now I'm at a point of like a mid-level developer. The reason they hired me there, and this is exactly what my boss said to me, by the way, so I'm going to tell you this to you. Like, the reason they hired me is because their senior developer bills them at $100 an hour. And my boss literally said, I'd much rather have him do the hard part of like code that you can't figure out because you just don't know enough. But everything else, I'd much rather pay you less money, even if it takes you longer to figure out, because you're doing not like easy stuff, but you're doing stuff that a senior developer shouldn't even do. So that's my point that I'm going to make, that junior devs will always be necessary because there's always jobs that having a mid-level or a senior guy do it is not, and financially doesn't make sense for the company, so that's going to be my example to that. Yeah, I'm still not sure. One day there's going to be a study that said they're going to say there's a North Pole and a South Pole in your brain. I'm waiting for that one because I think that's when we're all going to have an answer. This is another 100%. This is another thing that like served me well. Like, if you don't, first of all, like you need to, the reason why I started this Tuesday night stream, I know this stream was supposed to be about burnout and we get there, but all these really good questions, and by the way, answering these questions in some indirect way will help you to avoid burnout because it's not going to be a stress of thinking about stuff like this. If you don't understand the portfolio, you build copying projects of YouTube. First of all, when you're learning, it's okay to copy projects, it's okay to use tutorials, it's okay to use YouTube. You need to build projects yourself from scratch. That's the reason why I created the Tuesday night stream, even though people could make fun of me, like, they could look at my code, be like, it sucks, but I'm building that project from scratch. I understand every line of code I'm writing, and if I do make a mistake and somebody points it out or there's a better way of doing it, guess what? I just got a free lesson of how to improve my code, so I'm not worried about it. But the point what I'm saying is that you need to write code from scratch that allows you to learn solving problems. That's the process of coding that people are hiring you for, your ability to solve problems. And the only way to develop that is by building projects from scratch. So number one, you need to build portfolio projects from scratch if you're looking to get a job. And never ever lie if you don't know the answer, 100%. So I was at an interview and they said to me, like, this is a job for AngularJS, and when you're gonna do the interview, we're gonna ask you to build something AngularJS. And I literally told them straight up, like, I don't know AngularJS, I haven't done it. Is that a problem? And they're like, no, as long as you're familiar with other like frameworks like React or Vue. And I said, like, yes, I am. And they said, cool, like, we will give you your test with React, but you just know this, if you want to get this job, you will have to learn Angular and be able to build projects with Angular. I was like, great, this is great. And so, there's many cases I could give you, but definitely don't lie, tell the truth, and you'll be surprised. Even at my current job, I'll go to the senior development like, hey, I haven't really encountered this problem before. I'm not sure where to start. This is what I tried so far. This is what I searched for on Google and Stack Overflow. This is what I think I should do. And then they will tell you like, hey, I appreciate your honesty. Listen, that's perfectly fine. Here's what you should do to get you started, or check out this article or this documentation to familiarize yourself with what you have to do. And that's 100%. Yeah, no, I totally get it. And one of the problems I have, Steve, is that I love deprecating humor, which is not right, because like in some way, like my fiance says, you know, in jokes, there's some level of truth, and I shouldn't do that for sure. That's awesome. That's really good, you know, and that's where we start. I started, you know, my first tech job with an internship. And hey, you're getting paid, you know. My first internship was free. I don't say people should do free internships. I just did it in my case, you know, because I was working and was doing that free internship. But yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That internship counts as experience, 100%. And that is 100% true to what Steve just said. So my free internship turned into a paid internship, turned into my first role as a PHP theme developer. Yeah, that's awesome. And I see people saying, congratulations, that's awesome. Jason, don't kick yourself for giving up learning code multiple times when I was younger. Now I'm older and work full time and have a baby, but more motivated than ever to keep grinding and learning. Listen, you shouldn't punish yourself for your past mistakes, because it's not a helpful attitude. What you should do is just focus on the road ahead and what you have to do from this point now. I would argue that because you're more mature and because you now have the responsibility of a family and you look at life differently, you will go after it at a whole different level. And yes, that is called learning. And finally got to the comments of Tech Rally. I'm actually going to make a video about burnout and how it can be good. Burnout and depression, by the way, is never good. I've been depressed, like legitimately, where I would say if you're legitimately depressed, seek a professional. That would be the best thing you could do. And people love Steve's advice. Yep, always glad to have Steve in the comments. I wouldn't say that's true. If you never get burnout, you're not working on everything that really matters. I would say if you get burnout, the way you're approaching work is not sustainable, because you could get burnout doing what you love. I taught Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for many, many years. That was my dream job. I was doing really well, and boy, did I burn out doing that, to a point where, you know, depression came right afterwards. So I wouldn't say it's that you're not doing what matters. I just say that you might be not approaching work and life balance where you're taking care of being able to take care of yourself. Because look, money is money. Yes, we need it, but there's also stuff we need to be human beings. Like we need to socialize with others. We need to feel loved and like wanted and all this other stuff. And if you're not getting that social interaction, you're not getting sleep, you're not getting exercise, you will get burnt out, even if you love your job. Or if you're working on something that matters or doesn't, whatever. You know what I'm saying. And a lot of love for Jason. Yep, keep it up. Listen, Steve, I had the best idea for OnlyFans, and the only reason I didn't do it is because I would get depressed, because I would make more money on OnlyFans than I would working as a programmer. So my idea for OnlyFans, and please don't steal it because I'm keeping it as a backup, literally sit in my tidy whities and eat a McDonald's burger. That's it. Just be a belly picture, a sandwich picture, and me taking that picture and eating it. That's only it. And I know there's a demographic in like people in Korea for sure. A bunch of other places definitely is gonna be a success. And that's true. Doing the same thing over and over with the same result is a sign of madness. And this is why you need feedback loop cycles where you're getting feedback, which allows you to know, like, hey, the same thing you're doing is not going to give you a different result. You got to change up your strategy and do something that matters. Yep, I love that plugin, super 100%. Engine Boy, 23 years old. I would give my liver to be 23 years old. Oh my God, your whole life and future ahead of you. Think of it this way. I got hired at 39. You're that far ahead of me, my man. Like, Engine Boy, just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to get there. I love Coding Tech Rally trying to say he don't know where he gets his best ideas from. Coding after who? No, I love Tech Rally. By the way, if you haven't checked out Tech Rally's channel, go check him out. I know he's younger, has a nicer voice than I am, but still he's not as cool as I am. But he does make some good content though. Yeah, which is a ridiculous statement. 100 an hour is cheap. They're getting a good deal on their senior developer, and they're definitely getting a good deal on me. I was using Angular in a general statement. They were using modern Angular, but yeah, I know Angular back in the day, they completely redid it, rewrote it. That was ridiculous. That's when I quit Angular. I did start with Angular when it's the first thing what they ever had. And when Angular 2 came out, I was like, I'm out of here. I don't want to relearn all this stuff. So don't look up, great question. Like, one of the things that I was asked to build is a simple, like I keep forgetting what they're called. What do you call those things that manage products? Like inventory app. A simple inventory app. Was interesting in it though is that they were getting a data in an array, and there was so much data that looping through an array, like it would just be time consuming. But they don't tell you that. So basically, they wanted you to do a bunch of things, and when you're doing certain tasks, like in the inventory, they wants you to look stuff up, and if there are duplicates, remove duplicates, or like whatever, bunch of stuff like that. But one thing that they wanted to see that they didn't say is that they wanted me to take the array of objects and transform it into be like a hash table or a dictionary, whatever you want to call it, where there's a key that you use to look up the thing that you want to look up, and then the value is the object of that thing that you're trying to look up, because they wanted to look up to be really fast when you know the key. And that's something they didn't say, and I thought that was kind of like a tricky question. And they stopped me on it because I tried to implement everything as an array, and then eventually I realized my mistake. But by that time, when I already created and started working on my hash table, the time ran out. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish the project on time. But what I did do is, after the fact, I went home, I finished the project, and I emailed them and said, here's the completed project. Now, like, I realized what the mistake I was making. Obviously, they didn't hire me, but I still want to complete the interview question the right way. I wish that that was the case in my interviews. That's pretty cool. I like that idea, to submit a project I dictate before the interview. That's cool. That's cool. Man, I should apply at your company, Steve. Just saying. This is actually really interesting, not interesting, it's really sad and true. I'm currently recovering from second burnout. Both times was due to bad management, putting me in a situation where my mental stress became unbearable. And this is like a serious thing, and I think that's one of the reasons, like right now, people saying this like big resignations, people don't want to go back to work, and it could be because of crappy managers. My last company that I worked at, we had the same issue. The management was so bad, the deadlines were so unrealistic, the pay was bad too, and literally, it was a soul-crushing experience. The only reason why I feel like, and I would say after a year and a half, I probably would have like burnt out, but I just ended up quitting, quit while you're ahead. But I totally feel your pain, and that's exactly situation I was in. And I was literally playing this game like, am I gonna burn out first or am I gonna get another job? But yeah, it's true, it's terrible that sometimes you are working in a place where it's out of your control due to bad management or whatever, toxic environment, and that you kind of, if you find yourself in this situation, like I hate to say it, but if you're able to start looking for another job ASAP, because it will never be worth, you can't fix broken. And if the company you work for is broken and toxic, then it's like, get the hell out. Yeah, that's true. And so managing is very important, but at the same time, there are people that are just really bad managers, and you want to be managed by people that don't, crack the whip or push you, but they're able to actually manage you in a way where your job is easier to do, meaning you have everything you need to have to accomplish your goal, to accomplish the task, everything, you have good project management, everything is kind of like, everything you need, you could get to it easy. The whole machine works, like every cog in the system works in unison, but that's probably really rare, and I'm probably talking about a dream. But I would say if the manager is bad, then your work experience is going to be bad. And I worked not in in program now, I work at a company which is really good managers, because it's so small that we only have one person, and they're really cool and understanding, and that does make your job much easier. That's a funny statement, because the funniest thing that I heard is right, project managers are failed coders, and sometimes though, I see in senior levels is that your path kind of separates, because you could separate where maybe you're doing research and development type of role where you're really heavy into coding, trying to figure out a solution, or you go, okay, I have so much coding experience that I could add more benefit by being a manager. So I wouldn't say that maybe some manager, maybe 90, I don't know what the percentage is. I'm just gonna say 80% of managers maybe would be people that sucked at coding, but I feel that the best managers are the people who understand code, understand what you struggle with, and they happen to become managers. And again, I'm probably talking about dream world right there. Make sure you have a good base, 100%. That's awesome, Engine Boy, very awesome. Hey, Woo, send me your email. I lost your email somehow. Don't hate me for that, but send me an email at codingafter30@gmail.com. I've been meaning to catch you, but I couldn't find your email. Yeah, you could do that too, 100% using a set, but then if you need that works great too. Ooh, nice. I'm gonna hit you up. Hopefully I'll be able to do an interview and not embarrass myself, but it'll be cool. I'm always looking for opportunities. That's actually right here. That's exactly at the company that I work for. The guy that reviews my PRs literally looks at, every time we do a PR, he looks at as a mentoring or a teaching opportunity. I think that's how the people should do it, because that's how you reinvest back into your developers. And by the way, your developers want to continue working at your company because it's a more pleasant experience. And at the same time, it's like a lot of people say, training new devs takes money. No, what costs money is, having a revolving door where junior devs come and go and you're not able to keep anybody. That's what costs money. And that's amazing. That'll be a really good place to work. That's funny. Some people are promoted to the level of incompetence they achieve. That is really good. Dude, that's awesome. Do I still do coaching? Tech Rally. I had to take a little break because I have something in the works, always working, and need to buy my dream car one day. So I still do coaching. Right now I'm so busy at work that I had to cut down my time. And right now I am in Boston for the whole week with my fiance. So during this time, I'm not going to be doing any coaching. So I kind of paused that. But starting next week after that, I'm going to have some time slots available on Sunday. So 100% Tech Rally. And yes, to our point, thank you, Tech Rally. As a company, junior devs could be the investment you ever make. Junior devs could be, yes. Randy says, I spent 2 years looking for another job, even got a conditional offer that fell through. Then I got on inheritance and reassigned 2 days later. Now I'm doing a certification course. Life works in mysterious ways. That's all I can say. I think this whole stream's been outside of subject, and I still want to talk about burnout, and we did touch about it a little bit, and we'll kind of get back to it the last, few minutes of the stream, or 10 minutes, or however we go. But I want to get through all these amazing questions first, because to me, the most important part is to talk to you guys on these streams, because I really appreciate all of your comments, and I much rather ask questions that you have rather than answer questions that I think I should answer. So a question, someone outside the subject, as a freelancer, should you charge more for a website built in CSS framework or native CSS? When I used to do freelancing, I had basically, and this was with PHP and using themes. So my first level was we will make your website using an existing theme that we found on ThemeForest that we purchased, and I customized for you the way you want it. And so I would have a set price. And then if anybody wanted anything additional, I would have just one solid hourly wage. And I'm not saying it's the best way of doing it, but that's how I did it. And then there's some people talk about value-based pricing, where it's not like how much the actual website costs you to build, but how much potential earning does that website have, and then you make a percentage, which good luck figuring that out. I don't even know how you do it. I don't even do freelancing anymore because it's way more work for me to do freelancing than it is just to get hired. That's my opinion. I'm not saying freelancing is wrong. It's just very difficult and a lot more work that you have to do. But what I suggest is basically having some sort of package. Hey, if you do a basic HTML and CSS JavaScript site with 4 pages, this is how much it costs. And honestly, just think about this a little bit more. If you use CSS framework or native CSS or Sass, to me, obviously it's irrelevant. And I would charge the same. I wouldn't worry about it. It's just I think of using a framework, it doesn't benefit the customer. It just benefits me because I don't have to write half of that stuff myself from scratch. So I would probably charge them the same. Just charge what the value you feel you want to get an hour and do that. And the reason why I do hourly, because I think when you're starting out, that's the easiest kind of payment to implement. I don't know if I think it's from your and I experience, Tech Rally, new devs tend to stay very long at the company. I think because I know you and I both stayed long in our companies, but I think a lot of people, they do kind of realize hey, every year I should be getting a raise. So the best way to do that is by switching companies, because a lot of people I talk to, that were in the same boat as me, like worked for the first company, they were appalled. They're like, why'd you stay more than a year? What the hell's wrong with you? Yeah, then that's sad that some manager sees you as a competition. Yep. You're not late, Alex. You showed up. You got in to say hello. Good to have you here. When the student becomes the teacher, or whatever that in Kung Fu, you know, the master surpasses their master. And that's like the biggest compliment you could give your teacher, because you were such a good teacher and mentor that someone became better than you. 100%. Yeah, it's a tough question. How do I show 25 years of experience in my resume but not getting interest because they add up the numbers and see me as 55 years old? So for me, like on my resume, like I only show like relevant stuff and the projects. I don't have, you know, my age anywhere, and I don't talk about my age at all. I don't talk about, like, I don't have a college degree, because like, so I don't even put on my resume. So what I would say is try to see if you could write your resume in a way that points only the best experience that's relevant to the job that you're trying to get, without having to put all the years or whatever. And again, that's just like a random advice. I don't know if it's good, but yeah. So we finally got to the end of the comments. I'm sure more will come, but we've been talking about a lot of great questions that all of you guys have. And we talked about burnout and depression. The only reason why I want to talk about it, because in the past, like, you know, and by the way, this is what I want to say to you. My job is great right now, and I still got depressed. So it could happen to any one of us at any time. And I started to feel burnout, even though my job is awesome. And so I was trying to figure out why and what is the cause of it, what is really happening to me. And I was kind of like lost, because it's like, you have a good job where you are right now, you're making good money, there's opportunity to grow. Why you feel like you're burning out? And I wasn't burning out from my job. I was burning out because I was feeling depressed. And so this is a topic that I want to talk about, because it could happen to any one of us. And I had a bunch of articles that talk about, is depression real? Is, burnout real? Like what causes burnout in software engineering? And they're all articles written by a bunch of people. Some people had burnout, some people didn't. And what I'm going to say to you guys is this. One thing that, like, I'm Russian, and the way they train you in Russia to be as a child is don't be a bitch. Like, like literally that's what they tell you, is that you cannot complain. You have to eat crap. You have to shovel crap. You have to do whatever it takes. If you have to, not sleep, don't sleep. You just have to work to achieve your goals. And that's something that I used to be a very big believer in. And in China, they go like, tiger mom, someone's like, I gotta do it, And I realize is that as human beings, like, there are certain things that we need to function. And obviously the most obvious is eating well, exercise if you can daily, even going for walks, making sure you sleep enough. But some of the other things that I didn't think about is that, like, and obviously like family, friends, but sometimes like I'll say no to friends because I have to work. And I realized that what you need to do is, a lot of times we burn out is because we don't manage our life in a way that allows us to recover from our work week or our work day. And a lot of times we think we're recovering because we're watching Netflix or we're playing some video games on the weekend, or we go out drinking on the weekend. I don't recommend you guys do that, but I realized that the reason why, and sometimes, by the way, if you're getting depressed, sometimes it just could be a mental thing. Sometimes, I'm not saying it's you, but if you're really, really depressed, by the way, I can't say this enough, going and seeking like actual professional to help you, and sometimes getting medication is the best thing. I'm not saying it's you, but I'm just saying it because I don't want to underplay the severity of it. But for me, I realized is that I put code and learning to code and kind of having this make it or die mindset about my job, and I did it for such a long time that, yeah, Sean B, I love cross-color chokes too, and I have to respond to it because cross-color chokes are the best. And like, I have so many people now watching me because I'm so popular. I got 20 people watching me at the same time. It's insane. And Sean B, because I don't see your picture, are you the Sean B that I know? Blink twice if so, because I have a question for you if that's the case. But but what I was saying is that when you have that mentality of, succeed or die, what happens is you're literally constantly living your life in fight or flight state, which is not normal to live in, non-stop, because we're not wired to live our lives that way. So what I say to you guys, have a dedicated schedule for learning, have a dedicated schedule for work, and be able to stop and not work. Like, if you work 40 hours a week, only work 40 hours a week. If and schedule time for exercise, schedule time, spend time with your friends and your family. And I guarantee you, this idea of burning out is not saying that it's going to completely disappear, but you're going to have a better sense and way of dealing with. And now handling the most important part of the streams. Number one, Sean, miss you. Sean, I love this guy. Funny story about Sean is, like an idiot, I mule kicked him in the head and he had to get stitches. And I felt, well, I was going to say I felt bad. I didn't even react to it. I just literally did not make eye contact, didn't even look, didn't stop what I was doing in jiu-jitsu class. And I said, yeah, he's going to need stitches, and continued to do what I was doing like an asshole. And I felt so bad. Sean, I love you. And I am going to be in Connecticut after the 18th. I'll be staying in Connecticut for next 3 months. So you and I have to do some jiu-jitsu, or at least grab lunch. Just don't tell Rachel because I don't want to invite her. And then Anna obviously prefers the back triangle. When I'm in New York, Anna, I'm going to hit you up. We also going to roll. It's going to be awesome. And Sean, I appreciate you, my brother. Miss you also. Listen, it's like one thing that I wanted to say, and this is completely off topic, and like, it's not completely off topic, but this idea of friends and how sometimes friendships are more important than work or anything else. And what I want to say is, Sean, we became like really good friends through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and like, it's like a tribe that you belong to. And Anna does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And what's interesting, like I don't want to talk too much about it, but if you're part of that tribe, you kind of have this acknowledgement of friendship and being part of a team, part of something that's bigger than you. So I guarantee you, if Anna did not know Sean, which they don't, but Anna was stuck on the side of the road and needed help, and Sean knew she's part of the Jiu-Jitsu family, there's this level of respect and help that he would offer just because we're part of the same tribe. And that's kind of what I love about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And honestly, this is what I want to bring to this channel. Exactly the same feeling of being part of a community, being part of this tribe that we all belong to and we all benefit from and could grow together. But I could tell that my voice is going. Yeah, Sean, I'm going to have to send you my new phone number. I'll double check if I have your number. Obviously, don't post it here, or send me a message. I'll send you a message on Messenger I'll send you my new phone number. I definitely would love to get in touch with you. So let's see. My voice is going to start going soon. So before we end the stream, I know it was kind of off topic, but kind of wasn't, because we did the most important thing, is talk about actually the comments and questions you guys were leaving. And this is something that I enjoy doing on the stream on Saturdays, because I want to make sure, number one, we answer all your questions. Number two, if we get to the top, we get to the topic. But number three, I want to make sure that we're growing and building the best community that we can. And if you yet haven't smashed the like button, smash that like button, or I guess don't smash it. But anyway, it's okay. So I'm going to say this. If you guys don't have any last questions or any comments or anything else in between, we'll go ahead and end this stream, because I'll be back Monday. My goodness, the cold. I'll be back Monday. No, that didn't sound good. I'll be back Monday. You see, a very unprofessional stream. I'll be back Monday, I want to say 8 p.m. Pacific time, with John Smilga on his channel, Coding Addict, tomorrow. And then it's always fun, so you could catch me there. And then if you want to do the live stream where I code and make mistakes, as always, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Also great. And with that being said, thank you so much. Always appreciate you guys. Thank you for streaming. Get well soon. Thank you, my brother. I love you all, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing day. And, you know, we'll go from there. And before I go, for Randy, it's only 2 pages. Talk about his resume. And I would say only list the most relevant experience that you feel puts you in the best light in a bullet style format of the things that you did for the job that you're looking for. Because I ended up removing a bunch of jobs I had because they were literally not relevant to what I was trying to do. And if you have no experience, then you kind of have to rethink about like what jobs put you in the best light for the job that you're looking for. But could talk more about it in the next stream. Yeah, and 100%, exactly. And Alex, yeah, always a pleasure to have all of you guys. Listen, I'm some dude on the internet, like Sean will tell you, like I am literally, you know, went from teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, just completely flipping 180 and becoming a developer, which was not easy. Like, I mean, it took a lot of work, and I still don't think I'm the best one or whatever at it, you know, still learning though. And if I could do it, so can you guys. But with that being said, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next stream or next time around. Yeah, this is a good way to end the stream. Steve says, good stream, Paul. Remember, new devs learn software patterns. They will help you for years. And it's true, not only in coding, it's literally the same advice in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And this is something that I need to start spending more time, because I'm so caught up doing work, but I have to start spending time working on learning proven patterns that are used by all the developers to solve problems in their code. 100%. Man, Randy, first time a viewer. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for jumping in. First time I caught you, but now I know to look. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm glad that you were able to find us. We just like to chill and have fun. So, man, thank you for having us, and hopefully we'll see you again. And again, with that being said, final goodbye. I gotta go. Thank you guys for everything. See you guys later. Bye-bye. 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 And now I'm gonna drink tea in slow motion. Ah. People are gonna lose their mind if they join the stream and that's what they saw. Anyway, good night everybody. I'll see you guys later.